Hello, everybody. It is now 11 a.m. here in the Pacific. I don't know where you are, but thank you so much for joining today, this amazing webinar for professional women who are working with women who want to inspire, impact, and transform their lives. Welcome. What I'd love to know as we're waiting for everyone to log on is, where are you from? So I see there's Suzanne from Minnesota. So if you use the chat box, you can type in where you're from, and then I can just celebrate that with you. Sabina from Holland, Sandra from Wisconsin, Adri from New York, Monica, she's sending me some hearts, but I don't know where you're from, Monica. So welcome. We are going to jump in a moment. Let's see, Sonia from Switzerland, Chicago, Jasmine, Ruxandra, Romania, Lucio from Mexico. Oh my God, there's so many. Lisa from Barcelona, Maya from Australia. Are you crazy, Maya? It's like in the middle of the night for you. Thank you for coming. Amazing. Nadine, Switzerland, Velvet, California. Welcome. Blessings from Philadelphia, from Joy. Yes, Monica Jane, but I don't know where you're from, where you are right now. Yeah, Estonia, Lilisa, I think that's how you say your name. So amazing. This is a global group. And today is incredibly thrilling for me, pardon the emotions, because I'm so passionate about helping change this world, and you are part of that. And so today, I'm just really, really thrilled to serve you in the best of my abilities in this webinar. It's going to be an interactive webinar. So you can't be multitasking, because I'm going to ask you to write things, to tell me what you've written, to participate, to ask questions. This is about you taking as much as you can away from our time together today. So I'm going to ask you, or at least invite you, to turn off and shut down all the other windows you have open, the browsers, your social media, turn off the phone, and anything else that can distract you. If you have a do not disturb sign, put it up on your door. Whatever you need to do to bring yourself wholly present, because although multitasking has been exalted as a feminine quality, they've actually found that multitasking makes you kind of sort of okay at everything, but not great at the one thing you're focused on. You're not really able to be deeply present. And I know for most of us, the idea of someone being distracted when we're with them is painful. So let's actually give that to each other, to one another, especially to yourself. Full presence. I want you to be able to track your body, track how you're feeling as I'm sharing my information today. So a few more ladies. Anne from Vancouver. Hi, Anne. Karen from Boulder. Fantastic. Patricia from Finland. Chrissy. I'm not sure if I'm saying Washington. Jeanette from Mexico. Jan from Mexico. And Madrid, Marta. Hello, Marta. So sweet to have you here. I am incredibly blessed to have you here. There is over 629 or 30 women that have signed up for this webinar from around the world. So that means that you are very much interested in bringing a deeper understanding of the psychosexuality into your modality of work. And that's what I want to give you today, some insights on that, and also help you with what you currently know, adjust if you are making some very common mistakes that we make as professionals, and some strategies to handle that. So I'm just checking my list here. I want to make sure, yes, do you have a pen and a paper? I need you to write. So it'll be just for you what you write. You don't need to read it to anyone, but you're definitely going to need a pen and a paper. And I do intend this call to go for about an hour, hour and a half. So hopefully you've planned for that. And I'm pretty excited because I have a live event coming up in a month. And so I'm going to give away a ticket to that live event at the end to whomever is here on the call. So super exciting. And I'm going to announce that and pick somebody who's here till the end, and we'll announce it at the end. So it's super, super amazing. The live event is actually really incredible because it's not just me teaching. It's going to be me and my ambassadors. And those ladies are powerful. So I'll tell you more about that at the end of this call. All right. So for now, let me just very quickly, I want to ask the group a question. So let's see. Are you ready to have fun and inspiring, impacting, and transforming the lives of women? So let's see. I'm going to load this little poll for you, and you just have to click yes or no, whether or not you're ready to have fun. So let me know. And 100% of you are ready to have fun and to impact and transform the lives of women. Love it. Thank you, ladies. That is amazing. So, so what we're going to do is I want to share just a tiny bit about me because some of you might not know me. So I'm Dr. Saida Désilets. I'm an author, a thought leader, and I newly call myself a body philosopher. And I just absolutely am incredibly inflamed with what's happening around the planet right now for women. There's a lot happening on the planet for the planet itself and other people, but particularly women's issues are front and center. And so what we're needing right now is something that I take a stand for. It's sexual sovereignty. And we need people to speak about sexual sovereignty on the ground level. So we cannot do this alone. It requires community. It requires deeply centered and grounded and informed people, most likely women, advocating for this. So why sexual sovereignty is so close to my heart? I actually believe it to be a human birthright. So let me define what sexual sovereignty is and see what you think. So sexual sovereignty is a few things. The first thing it is that it's defined as no person, institution, government, or organization has the right to determine what happens in your sacred ground, in your body, whether it's a fertility issue, a pleasure issue, or any issue. Only you, only the woman or man or child has the right to make those choices. Sexual sovereignty is also the capacity to really sit in the living truth that we are sexual beings. And if we regard each other as sexually sovereign, we're going to change how we interact. We're going to change our definitions. So that's the foundation. That's the baseline. And I would love for this to become a real established human birthright. And I actually can't believe that it isn't. But like I said, I discussed this a little bit with the UN, and that is a very burdensome, slow-moving machine. So I'm not going to wait for organized places and governments to catch up with us. We need to do this now. We can't wait. So that's why I'm really, really passionate about that. And I'm very passionate about embodied leadership. If you are not walking your talk, if you don't really embody that which you speak of, that which you recommend to others, it will impact how you influence others. So it's very important now in this day, pardon me, that our leaders and ourselves as leaders, if you're affecting the lives of one person, you are in leadership role, is embodied. We live in our body. We're present to our body. We're in right relationship with our body. So that's what I want to discuss a lot in this webinar is, and you can tell I'm passionate. I'm like flying my hands everywhere. So I'm just so excited to bring you those concepts today and to inspire you to really step up in your embodied leadership, in being a voice for sexual sovereignty in whatever way you can, express this. So let's see. Sony will help you. Sony is my amazing team member. She takes really good care of all my VIPs. She's here on the call with us. And if you have any problems, she will be here to assist you. So just a little bit of housekeeping in that way. I'm going to try and not flap my arms so much because I do have my notes right here and I don't want to hit them again. So, all right. So let's do another quick poll just to see how you're doing after that intro. I want to know if you're ready to get real and to fully participate. So just let me know if you're ready to jump in. I'm really revving for it. All right, you are fantastic. 100% of you are ready to go. Amazing. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I did promise that we were going to look into the 3 biggest mistakes that we make as practitioners working with women around the subject of sexuality, and to give you some strategies. So we are going to get into that in a moment. But first, I need to know your heart. This is the most important thing, especially when we're working with women. So I'd like you to pull out your pen and your journal, and I want you to take a moment, just right now. You can even close your eyes, take a breath. And I want you to just feel into what is your greatest struggle that you're experiencing right now in handling this topic within your business and your clientele. Don't tell me right away. Just write some things down and just see if, just name the struggle. Okay. And maybe there's a few struggles. Because here's the deal. If we don't name that which is in our way, the challenge, we can't transform it. And I would like you to leave this call with a clear idea of how to transform your business so it's more successful and more effective in transforming the lives of women. So please write that down. And then what I want you to do is, as you're looking at what you write down, is there a central theme that comes up for you? And see if you can condense it into one word. So it could be like, I'm overworked, I'm tired, don't have resources. I don't know, any kind of word that symbolizes that theme, and it could be completely different. So what I'd love you to do is, in the chat box, to write down the word that represents the central theme of your key struggle that you're facing right now in your business around this topic. And I'm going to have a look at the chat and see what you're writing. Okay, so let's have a look. Give you a moment. Confidence, fantastic. Sexual wounds, communication, not feeling good enough, priority, low self-worth, connection, distraction, kundalini rising, so much energy to channel, confidence, holding back, power. Wow, great. This is amazing. Lack of time, confidence, visibility, distractions, lack of like-minded people and resources. Yes, visibility, amazing. Priority, don't have enough experience. I'm not yet sexually free and healed myself. So separation, competition, low self-esteem. Ladies, this is amazing. Can you see that you're not alone even in the struggle that you're experiencing? This is global. Vulnerability. Yeah. Let's take a breath in honoring each other's challenge, each other's struggle. Take a breath, big breath. And let's just allow the struggle and the challenge to be like a welcomed guest at tea or whatever it is that you serve when you have guests, and just allow them to sit in a corner near you, but not right next to you. Just let them have a seat. Imaginary tea. We acknowledge the struggle. We acknowledge channel as the challenge. Jasmine is still sharing overwhelm, blockages, all of that. Anyways, amazing. Thank you, ladies. So what I want to do now is I'm going to ask you to do a second thing. So let's just clear, just for a second, just kind of imagine you're erasing what we just did. And now I want you to touch your heart. And I want you to feel into what you would love to happen in your business in the next 3 to 6 months. And it could be anything. Maybe you just want more ease. Maybe you want to have a different kind of client. I don't know. But what would you love? Not what you think you should have, but something that makes your heart beat a little faster. What would you love? I want you to write about that. Don't text about it, but just write down a bunch of things, whatever's flowing from your heart. What I would love. This is what I would love. I would love this. And then, like we did before, tune into a central theme of what you'd love and see if there's a word that represents that. And then please type the one word into the chat box. So that's what we're going to do with what we'd love. Okay. And when those start coming in, I'm going to read them out loud for you. Have a little sip. Community, money, service, income. Yes, those things are all important. Freedom and confidence, unstoppability. Ooh, I like that one. Recognition, thriving, freedom, full thriving, embodiment, sisterhood, enthusiasm and ease, raw expression, learning and readiness, joy, fellowship, enthusiasm, effectiveness, softness and strength, sharing, inspired engagement, focus, self-discipline and flow, awakening and transform. Wow. Expansion, inspired engagement, sexuality, servitude. Beautiful. So notice how that feels as you're hearing other women's passions, their heart's desire, and how it feels just to sit in your own. A national recognized face. That's Sabine. Awesome. Yes. So what we'd love deserves to be seen. It deserves to have a space in our bandwidth, because often we just focus on the struggle and the challenge. And with one thing I can share with you is if your vision of what you'd love has the energy and the power and is the rudder, you can change the world. You can create incredible things that you never dreamt of creating. So thank you so much. Okay, there's one more. To unleash my heart and inner soul's natural lover for sovereignty from within, inside out, openly and fluidity with joy. So I'm just going to say, Samantha, that's sovereignty. That's the one word that encompasses this amazing love that you have in your heart for being with women and supporting women. So, one thing that I want to just address right now, if you've been following me, I'm not sure how many of you are actually familiar with me, or if you follow me on social media, or if you're actually in my Daring Project membership group, but you will know that I advocate for women to be more daring, for women to recognize that coming home to themselves and sitting in their sovereignty is not an idle thought. It's absolutely necessary. Because of what is actually happening in the world, we are losing rights, left, right, and center. We must now use this. We must use our voice. We must stand in our truth more than ever. We can't actually wait for other people to do it for us. So that is a powerful reason, ladies, for the work that you're doing. Every woman that you see, you have the opportunity to influence so that she can stand in her body, that she can be really deeply at home with herself, and that she can stand up for what really has meaning in her life. The other piece that I'm quite a strong advocate about is the assumptions that we make about women's sexuality and about women themselves. And these assumptions, for the most part, are learned. They're socially mandated ideas. They're not actually original thought, let's say. So we need to have a look at our own assumptions. So part of going through this session today is we're going to really look at our assumptions. The other piece that I'm really rah about is when we do not question dogma. And there is dogma in every single field. And I think you know what I mean. A field is established, and then rarely does it evolve. Occasionally it does, but often with resistance and slowly. So we must be brave. We must have the courage, the audacity actually, to have a look at the dogma of the field that we represent, what we're working in, our modality, and ask, is that true? Is it true for me, and is it actually serving women? So I'll give you an example of that. I have a beautiful colleague who's a gynecologist, and there is so much dogma in the medical industry around women's bodies. And so what she's done is she's brought in elements of some of the things you're going to learn today about my method and brought it right into her medical practice on female medicine stages, and has been challenging the dogma with incredible results. So I want to ignite in you a little bit of audacity, a little bit of being willing to raise your hand and go, you know what? That's actually not serving anybody. And maybe it did in the past, but not now, not in this global climate, not in the issues that are now arising in this time for women. And then again, I'm just going to reiterate my love of embodied leadership. Within your field of work, do you see a lot of embodied leaders? Now let's go beyond our field of work in the world at large with the leadership that's at hand. Do we see embodied leadership? Not really. So we need to become that living example so that the women who come to us for solutions and for support and for help can start to see what it's like to live from that place. Okay, so just to stress that again, because it's really important. So I'm going to do a quick poll. I'm really interested in just seeing if you're interested in affecting positive change for women. That's what we're going to ask you now. So are you interested in affecting positive change for women? I need to know if that's actually interesting to you or not. 100%. Right? Who wants to entrap women in ideas that don't really work? Nobody. So we're going to have a look at that now. This really brings to light something that I want to talk to you about before we jump into the very first mistake. It's something that recently happened to me. So here I am on the stage at ASECT. If you don't know what ASECT is, it's the American Association of Sexuality or Educators, Counselors, and Therapists. That's what it is. And so it's a professional body. It's the highest standard body in this particular field. And it's mostly doctors and researchers and people who actually really work with women. So I expected when I arrived there that people would really understand what I was saying. But what was remarkable is that although they knew the words psychosexual, they understood them from a conceptual reality. And I want to make something really clear. Conceptual reality doesn't serve anybody. So very few of them understood psychosexual from an embodied reality, where it was true within themselves. And I actually, I asked them, I said, please raise your hand if you have an orgasm a day. Please raise your hand if you have a delicious, fulfilling relationship. Please raise your hand if you've healed and are thriving in your sexual body. And I just kind of asked a whole bunch of questions. Hardly anybody raised their hand. So what we're having is tired, burnt out, uninspired, disconnected educators, counselors, therapists, researchers, leaders, telling women what to do. You can't do that. It doesn't work. So I'm going to get into why that doesn't work now. But before I jump into the first one, I just had a thought. Could I share 4 instead of 3? I know I promised to share 3, but I think I want to share 4. And the 4th one, I'll wait till the end in case you need to go. But if you're welcome, if you're interested in a 4th, I think I'd like to do that for you today. Okay, so let's just see. Yes, some people are interested in a 4th. Let's actually poll that. I think it's easier for all of you if I just poll it. Let's go like this. How many of you are interested in a 4th strategy? Let's just do that. Okay, all of you. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so perfect. We will do a 4th strategy at the end. All right, so let's jump into the first mistake. And before I go into these, I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to sit deep in your belly. Because some of the things I'm going to say may challenge you. And I need you to breathe. And I need you to feel the leading edge of the things I'm about to share. Instead of going into a triggered place and going, that's bullshit, which you can do. You're totally welcome to do. But before you do that, I actually want you to take into consideration what I'm offering. So if you notice that it's like, whoa, that's kind of an intense thing to say, breathe. Just keep breathing, okay? We'll get through this together. So the first mistake is this belief, this assumption that women are victims, especially when it comes to sexuality, sexual trauma, sexual issues, relationship issues, that women are victims. And even though often many of us would say, no, I don't actually believe that, our actions and how we help women has that underlying assumption that this woman somehow is broken. She's coming to me with a problem and I need to fix it. I need to do something about it. And this is not your fault. This mistake is something that you're conditioned with. So I want you to really see, because conditioning is like ocean to a fish. We don't see it. Okay. So we live in a woundology society. And when I was listening to all the talks of all the leading edge things to help women in their sexuality, all I could see were professionals taking this stance on presenting on the wounds of women and men, because it was mixed. But here is the topic for women. We are a woundology society. We love to investigate wounds. We do everything in every direction to understand our wounds, to help explore our wounds. We also have a survivor ideology. She's a survivor of incest. She's a survivor of rape. She's a survivor of this. We have this badge that we want people to wear to claim that they've survived something. And I can understand the mentality of that, but survivor ideology leaves people half-baked. And I don't know about you, but I want to take someone through full transformation, not just halfway. Survivor is halfway. Talking about the wound is halfway. It's not the whole picture. The other thing that we do with this mistake is, as we're listening to the woman and her story and what's happening in her life, we buy into her story. We buy into her assumption that she is powerless. And maybe even a part of us feels really good that we have a solution and that we could offer it to her. But from a stance of like, well, I feel powerful, I feel clear, and that creates hierarchy. So we're going to get into that in a moment. We're also often feeling like the need to rescue or fix something, especially if it's really intense. And we are solution oriented. We want women to get the best out of their money because they're coming to see us and they're paying us. And so we really want to help them. So I just want a little poll. If any of that, if even one of those things has been true for you, where there's been any of those assumptions, any of these ideas, it may not be true for everybody, but just let me know. Yeah, good. I have an honest tribe. Amazing. Thank you. Because with your honesty and your impeccability and your vulnerability, you will have incredible impact. I'm like goosebumped here and teary-eyed from your amazing honesty. Thank you so much. That was incredible. Okay, so why not go into the strategy? Should we do that? Let's do it. So the strategy actually comes, I've created a method called the Désilets method. And in this method, there are premises. A premise is a working assumption. It's not a living truth. And it's a working assumption is fantastic because you work within the parameters of that assumption and just see what happens. And then if something more honest and truthful comes along, you can change it. That's why a premise is so powerful. So one of the premises that I share in my method is that women are not broken and they don't need to be fixed. This is going to become a number one strategy for you in whatever modality you're working in. So just for a moment, sit in your body and feel where it lands. Women are not broken and don't need to be fixed. Just breathe and notice. Okay. So it's been my experience that as a practitioner, that if you hold what I said in your heart, in your orientation with your client, that you see her, that she's not broken, she doesn't need to be fixed, and you imbue that and give that to her, imagine now how she would feel. When you tell someone who's got a physical challenge or an emotional challenge or a psychological challenge, and you let them know, wow, I really get that that's painful. And you know, I just want you to know that you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. So here's how we're going to play with the situation together. I'm here to support you, to give you all that I can in this session, but from the place that you're not broken. So we're not going to try and fix you, okay? And you may have to have a dialogue around that, but it's really powerful. The colleague I mentioned earlier, can you believe if you went to a gynecologist with a serious issue and you're lying on her table and she's examining you and she looks up and she says, I just need you to know you're not broken. We don't need to fix you. That a doctor would say that. Whoa. So what you're doing is you're allowing the woman to step out of woundology. You're allowing the woman to step out of victim into a very creative space where her current imbalance, whatever is happening in her life, she starts to see that she has power, she has creativity, she can partake in it in a way that's not feeling like she's disempowered and out of solutions. And I know because I've healed myself of incurable things. And the moment that I adopted that I wasn't broken and I didn't need to be fixed, and I then started to have an honest dialogue with myself and my body, that's when the solutions and the guidance came in and not before. Yeah, right? I'm seeing some of you say it would be amazing to hear that out of an MD's mouth. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So here's the two things that will happen with you holding this truth. If you want to play with it, everything in this webinar is just an invitation. So you can take it in, keep what you like, and compost the rest, okay? Because you are sovereign, deeply intelligent, and passionate. So I really trust that you'll do that. So with this strategy, with this understanding, this premise that women are not broken, they don't need to be fixed, there are a couple things that are happening. One, the most powerful impact you can have is through your limbic resonance. Through your limbic resonance. We're going to talk more about that soon. But literally, what you embody gets transmitted. If you have contemplated this premise and it has become a resonant truth for you, she will get that. She will get genuinely that you believe she's not broken. And you might be the first person ever to hold that for her. That is incredibly powerful. This is what will shift. So the second piece of this, your resonance, you're showing her, they're mirroring that she's not broken, shifts her very deeply from the stance of being a victim and wearing that badge and needing rescuing into her sovereignty and into her creativity and into her trusting of her body. Because everything that happens around sexuality and imbalances comes back down to an issue of trust. We either feel betrayed by ourselves, by our body, by another. So trust is a really big part of this. Okay, so we want real women to come home to themselves, right? We are working with not an ideal woman or a number or a statistic. That's why I wanted to have this seminar. You are on the ground. You're working in the field, not just this highbrow academia assumptions of how things are. You're interacting. Every single person you meet, you can impact in a profound, profound way. Amazing. So, how can you put this premise into practice? The very first thing is I want you, for a short period of time, maybe a week, 2 weeks, daily consider what it means to hold the premise that women are not broken and they don't need to be fixed. And in that contemplation, notice what emerges, because some incredible insights and ideas will come forth. And as you contemplate this, notice how your relations with women and their stories, especially their wound stories and their victim stories, how that shifts and changes for you. Okay, so that's how you're going to make this first strategy very real. All right, so Kinta says, your fact you're saying you're good enough, you were and still are, and that's nice. Yes. In a way, yes. In a way, yes. But here's the thing. Most professions treat women when they come in with an issue like they're broken and they're going to help fix that. It's an underlying assumption under almost every profession, whether it's nutrition or counseling or massage or anything. Many times I've been approached, pardon me, just a second, I'm going to cough. Many times I've been approached by practitioners who come to me like they've noticed something needs to be fixed and they have the solution. And it's very insulting to a sexually sovereign being. So if you're going to really transform and impact and empower women, you have to start behaving like she is sexually sovereign, even if she doesn't believe it, doesn't understand it, and has not claimed that for herself. We need to stand in that truth, because that's how transformation powerfully happens. Okay, so I want to poll very quickly just to make sure this is landing. Are you ready to see your clients as powerful? Are you ready to see them as powerful? Let me know. 100% of you. Oh, again, I'm going to cry. Thank you. Can I love you and hug you and just high five you and just yes, yes. If you just have that, your impact will be phenomenal. Never forget that. And if you're ever unsure, come back to yourself and check in. Am I feeling like I'm powerful right now? That's where it starts. we give what we are. Amazing. So let's go into the second mistake, because I'm seeing we're already 40 minutes into the session. I definitely am going to go over the hour, so I hope that's okay for you. Yes, so I'm going to go into the second mistake. Professionals are trained to know better and have the answers. So it's going off this last one, but I actually want to go more deeply into this mistake, because we are literally trained that we, as in a figure of authority, we know better and we have answers, right? Because people come to us, they're like, oh, my digestion's off. What do I do? I'm like, well, I have some answers. Or, oh, my body hurts over here. What do? I have answers. So this mistake of believing that we know better and have the answers, it's an orientation. I'm not saying don't get trained. I'm not saying don't keep learning, don't keep embodying what you're giving out. And of course you're going to have answers. But when the underlying, yes, so the second mistake is believing like the professionals are actually trained. The way that we are trained in our professions is that we know better and we have the answers. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. And so I want to talk about that. So again, I want to go back to the medical lens, because it's just kind of so obvious that when we're dealing with women's sexuality and you go to a gynecologist, they're really only looking at the physical genitals and maybe the hormones. And they're not looking at the woman holistically as a whole being, that somehow her sexuality could impact the totality of who she is. And they're so clear that they know and have the answers, they never actually check in with the patient. So be careful when you're working with women to, you hear the story, you have a solution, you want to get working on it, without actually taking a breath and going, here's a sexually, erotically intelligent being. Now, I do have some possible ways in which we could work together, but not at the cost of her intelligence, okay? I think it's not our fault. I think it's because we are a how-to society. So we're very much entrapped in our modalities. We are entrapped in the functional model. The functional model means you do this thing to get this result. You're with me? Functional model. You do this thing to get this result. Whether it's a surgery to get this result, a meditation to get this result, a type of food to get this result. These are all functional models. Awesome. We need that, right? We do. We actually need that. But we are not machines. And when it comes to sexuality, how to put this kindly? We cannot talk BS, and we must consider the whole being. So in my dissertation, when I was doing this research on the impact of the jade egg and the Désilets method, my method, on the psychosexual well-being of women, I came across the definition of the functional model and then something else that wasn't created by me. It's called the meaning model. I think it's actually, I might have gotten that from the World Health Organization. And the meaning model was created because there was this understanding that women are not just here for breeding. It's not just put sperm here, get baby. I think that's where it came from. And so the deeper meaning, what is the deeper meaning of sexuality? Now, this might sound like a simple question, but it's actually really profound, and it actually completely turned my career inside out. I did 180 degrees. I completely changed how I was teaching, how I was working with women when I made the choice to investigate the deeper meaning along with the functional model. So I need to say, because I teach conscious sexuality, obviously my method is about that, but in conscious sexuality, in Tantra, in Taoism, in any kind of modern sexual practice, they are still in the how-to. Okay? You need to properly contextualize those things. There's a lot of techniques. There's a lot of dogma, and it's all oriented to the functional model. So, what I want to make sure here is to give you the strategy. Okay? Because that was a long rant on the problem. So the strategy is that we want to activate women's inborn erotic intelligence. That's strategy number 2. Activate women's inborn erotic intelligence. If you are handling the topic of sexuality on any gradient that it shows up, you want to be able to activate the woman's erotic intelligence. Okay? Very, very powerful. So this idea is a tried and proven premise, at least in my world. And I bring this concept, this idea, to every person that I meet, especially when I'm in a teaching position or doing catalyzing, kind of a coaching catalytic session. I want women to understand that they are born erotically intelligent. We are socialized out of understanding and knowing that. So our job as practitioners is to investigate that premise, to see if it resonates, is true for us, and then to allow women to know that it exists. Where do we tell women that? Where do we tell it? So the strategy, I'm going to tell you how to do that in a moment, but the title of it is Activating Women's Inborn Erotic Intelligence. So this comes through another premise of mine, that we are all psychosexual beings. So if you're handling sexuality, you need to understand that a woman's mind, her consciousness, her emotions is intertwined so completely with her body, her soma, her sexuality, that they're inseparable. They're one and the same. That's what psychosexual is. That's why when we're handling anything to do with a physical imbalance in our genitals, we must also have a look at what's happening in our hearts, in our minds, in our conditioning, and vice versa. They're inseparable. Okay? Separation, like when we feel separate, and this is actually conditioning, believe it or not, they've done tons of studies where women are literally the neural pathways to knowing and what's happening in their pelvis. It's like dampened or turned off. So when that's turned back on, how that's turned back on are through very conscious premises, by allowing a woman to understand that there's another possibility, and then giving her some actual ways where she can be with herself in her body, where that acknowledges the truth of her being a psychosexual being. It is not different for men. This is a human experience. Men are psychosexual beings in a very profound way. They are deeply sensitive and are deeply affected by all the limitations that are imposed upon their emotional expressions. So, but because this is about women working specifically with women, and because my dissertation and my research is specifically in women's, in female medicine and women's psychosexual well-being, I don't address men, but this principle can be brought to men. So this comes from the meaning model. I spoke about that earlier, right? So starting to investigate and activating that there's a deeper there's something deep happening in our being. It's not just a walking genital that gets used for pregnancy or for sex. There's something deeper that's happening. Soma means your body. It's your physicality. It's just another word for the body. Okay? So, all right. And then another premise that I want to talk about just in this strategy, just let me make sure I have this correctly. Yes. Is, one of the things that I teach and support women in is the use, obviously, of a jade egg. Now, you may not be doing that, but I want you to understand something. If there has been sexual trauma in a woman's life, there will be at some point a necessary component of addressing the cellular memory of that experience. And to repattern cellular memory, it requires contact, physical touch. And the method that I teach, it makes it very safe for therapists and counselors and educators because it's hands off. You don't touch the person. In fact, you're empowering them to take care of themselves. Very, very, very powerful. So what I noticed when I, again, was on ASECT, many of the people in the audience, mostly women, knew about the jade egg and they were actually selling them to their clients. But they had this attitude, oh yeah, you just pop it in and go. And I was so horrified. So in my presentation, I showed what was actually happening. That when we just pop it in and go, we are actually keeping in place the effects of socially mandated behavior and domestication, for one. We're keeping in place the same pattern. We're not pattern interrupting. To create pattern interruption requires a profound slowing down and an understanding that there is an erotic intelligence, and we are going to activate that right down into the cellular memory. Super powerful. So I just want to pull that and then I'll talk just a little further. So are you ready to help your clients? What's the question? Help your clients like activate their inborn intelligence, their innate intelligence. So are you ready to help activate this intelligence? Yes. Okay. So how can we do that? Because I'm giving you a strategy, right? How do we do that? So you understand that women are erotically intelligent. You are erotically intelligent. You understand that we're psychosexual beings, and you understand that there's a deeper meaning to sexuality. By you just living those understandings, by becoming that already, limbically, you have more impact than anything you could say. But to bring it into your work, how would you speak to a woman if she came in with an issue, but you regarded her as erotically intelligent, and you regarded her body as that? What would happen to how you interact and the information that you give, knowing that? So I can't tell you specifically how to address this in your modality in this general webinar. There might be a chance for me to do that one-on-one at some point. Would love that because each modality is so different. But the attitude, holding that as true, even if your profession doesn't handle sexuality, but it comes up, imagine just introducing, saying, hey, the other day I was on this webinar and I'm playing with this idea that we're all very erotically intelligent. That means I am and you are. Wonder what that means. And exploring that. Not having all the answers. Allowing pregnant space. Allowing a little bit of creative tension to emerge. Allowing an invitation of deeper trust in a woman's body. So I need to move on to the third mistake just due to time. I love all your amazing comments. I'm just having a look now because I don't have the comments thing on all the time. So awesome. Love it. Okay, great. So the third mistake. Ooh, this is a big one. And this is one that a lot of my teachers and guides and healers made. You ready? Okay. That we give advice that we ourselves don't follow. Yeah. So let me tell you a quick story. This is a story about Gandhi and a mother and her child. The mother brought her child to Gandhi because the child was addicted to sugar. And she said to Gandhi, "This is a problem. Can you tell my child to stop eating sugar?" And Gandhi said, let's meet again in 2 weeks. I will have the solution for you in 2 weeks. So off mother and the child, 2 weeks later, they show up. And Gandhi looks at the child and says, "Stop eating sugar." And the mother's like, "Why couldn't you say that 2 weeks ago?" And Gandhi said, "Well, 2 weeks ago, I was still eating sugar." So here's the thing that I have found. Many times I've heard people say to women, masturbate more, or use this, or like have an orgasm a day, or, all these different ideals around sexuality, but they themselves don't live it. They themselves are burnt out. They themselves are not taking care of their beautiful bodies. They themselves are not in right relationship with their sexuality and their pleasure. Right? So if you give invitations, let's never give advice. Let's give invitations. So that's part of the strategy of the third one. Let's make sure, ladies, that we're actually in the living truth of the thing we're suggesting, okay? Really, really important. And this is part of you becoming more and more of an embodied leader. So I just want to check in. I'm going to ask you another question here. Are you ready to be an embodied leader? You ready to do that, to take that on, to live that? Okay, all of you. You're just like the most epic group ever. I'm so inspired. I'm so like, wow, amazing. So here's the thing. This whole dialogue that we've just had is because we are sitting on the foundation that we are all sexually sovereign. Can you see that? And can you see that the ideas and the conditioning and the dogmas and the ideals really affect how we impact? And they actually affect how we transform. And I'm going to share a little bit of an edgy thing to share for me. It's a bit of a reveal, but I was just at a conference, and at this conference, there are women who'd been doing some things longer than I have, but they did a presentation. In their presentation, it was like they learned something 30 something years ago, which they had, but never questioned it. And the way that they presented it was that there was an overriding of women's erotic intelligence. There was an assumption that we weren't sexually sovereign, that somehow we were broken, and that we did need to become more spiritual in our sexuality, that we had to become more vibrant and healthy somehow. Assumptions. Your work will change when you start living that which you want to give out. And if you don't talk about, like, sexuality isn't part of your work, but it seems to come up a lot, then you may want to get more training, get more like orientation on psychosexuality and all of that, so that you feel embodied and clear in offering women different possibilities. Because right now, the majority, the mainstream of women is what they get in magazines and talk shows and the news. And most of that, as we know, is BS. Okay? So So that's what I want to say about that, because there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to female sexuality, or sexuality for men as well, but I'm going to keep it in women's sexuality. For example, many years ago when I first started this work, there was a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk therapy around sexuality. That's what sex therapists do. You go there, you can talk about your things. They'll give you suggestions on what to do. And so there was one of the best sex therapists in Vancouver at the time. She had a PhD. She would send me her patients and I would send her my clients. And she sent me her patients because she realized, she said to me, there's talk therapy can't resolve it all when there's cellular issues. And she knew that because she'd been in my classes, but she herself couldn't teach it. So we had this exchange. So also having a network of professionals is really important, to not try and do it all alone or have all the answers, right? So we're doing this together so that we as a team of people are supporting women to really be living life on their own terms, whatever that looks like for them. We're not here to determine what that looks like. We may want women to be radiant and sexually free. Maybe they don't want that. We have to respect. A sexually sovereign being means if she goes out and has sex with a ton of people and doesn't know them and she's not safe, it is her sovereign right to choose that. We may not agree with it. We may understand it's in reaction or she's working out this or that, but it's still her sovereign right to make those choices. So to judge those choices doesn't create a bridge, and we have to create a bridge, heart to heart, heart to heart, okay? Heart to heart. All right. The other misconception is that we have to struggle on our own and to compete with everyone else. Anyone have competition issues in your field? This is very sad to me. It is so important to change that framework. It's an old framework. In fact, in a group that I sort of like the professionals that I work with, it's a very clear collaborative community that is supporting each other from around the world. It's a global community of professionals. And we're working together. One of the main issues in that is to let go of this idea of competition. If everyone on this call worked with women in sexuality, it would still not be enough. There's not enough of us. There really isn't. There isn't. So, accepting old models without questioning them is another issue. Telling women what to do versus engaging their intelligence and self-responsibility, ladies, so important. Again, if sexuality is isolated just to the physical body parts and hormones, and that women are powerless and broken, these are massive misconceptions that hopefully have become really clear through this seminar, that we don't want to be oriented to those. So what's the plan? Like, why did I have this webinar? I wanted to meet you because I am really interested right now in influencing influencers and finding out who's in the living pulse, who's actually doing the work. And is there a way that I can serve you and that we can somehow come together in community? So that we're not isolated and we're not alone. But I'll talk about that more in a moment. So you've shown up here today. It's so amazing. And you've been like you're leaning in, you're like super participating. It's like, I love it. You're amazing, amazing group. And you've actually said, yes, you want to be an embodied leader. You want to wake up women's intelligence. You're on fire. So I love it. So what I want you to do now, just for a moment, is I want you to look at what you wrote earlier. I want you to look at your challenge that you wrote about and what you'd love. Just look at those things right now, just for a moment. And then what I'd love you to do is, I need to know how this landed. So are there any gems that you've gathered with this call? And if you could articulate just one of them in the chat box, that would really be fantastic just to know how the information has landed. And yeah, so while you're doing that, I'm just going to quickly go over mistake number 1. So what we had for mistake number 1 is that women are victims. And our strategy with that is to use the premise that women are not broken and they don't need to be fixed. Mistake number 2 is that as professionals, we're often trained and we know better and have the answers. And our strategy with that is to activate women's inborn erotic intelligence. And the third mistake is giving advice that we ourselves don't follow. And our strategy for that, which I didn't name, so I apologize because I got too excited, is to only teach that which we ourselves embody, like walk or talk. I think a ton of you already said walk your talk. So amazing. Okay. Just uber, uber amazing. So let me see. I'm sure there's some gems. I'm going to have a look. All right. Let's see. Collaboration. This is new again, the collaborative idea, and it's the only way for collaboration. It's Suzette. So, Dipti, we're not broken. You do not need to be fixed. Yes, we are powerful and whole without fixing. Karen, yes. We need to use our voices. Yes, Adri, exactly. We need to advocate for this in the world. Women are born erotically intelligent. Beautiful, Peggy. Shirian, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I apologize. I often seem to have an undercurrent urge to be right, to know the answer. I've worked from a more enlightened space, and this issue is more subtle inside me. Thank you for reflecting what I need to release to step into more power. Yes. Imagine if we could really trust in a woman's inborn intelligence and that she is sovereign and we have profound respect and she is powerful and that somehow together we create together a way as practitioners, our only real purpose is to be in limbic resonance and hold the realm of possibility and the spaciousness for the person, because they do all the work. They do all the healing. Yeah. Let's do this. Empower women. That's Sandra. Yes. I'm being inspired to be an embodied provider. Amazing. Love the authentic natural intelligence in women and all human beings. My challenge now is feeling alone in what I want to create and do. Community is my desire. Anita, I totally get it. I get it. And actually, isolation in islands is no longer the solution. So we're going to talk about that in a moment. Vanessa, important reminders and delivered in a genuine way. Thank you, Vanessa. That's sweet. Limbic resonance. We are what we transmit, and transmission is the most important. And we can't avoid it. You cannot hide what you are. I'm sorry, ladies. You cannot hide what you are. You can't. Limbic resonance is about, I don't know, maybe 80% of the communication. Maybe it's more. You can't hide. Activating women's innate intelligence. We need a reminder that we don't know what healing looks like. It is different for everyone. Absolutely. Embody our own erotic intelligence as a leader. Yes. Don't give answers, give suggestions. And Jasmine, what I even like to use as a word with clients and with students is their invitations. And when they have a big challenge, I call it an initiation. I literally change the words because words have impact. And if you are faced with a huge struggle, a huge challenge, and you reframe it as an initiation, how does that feel in your body right now if you feel into that? It's really powerful. Know the mistakes, but now on a different level. Thank you, Anne. Inspired engagement, focused embodiment, waking intelligence. Beautiful, Sarah. Women are sovereign sexual beings, which includes ourselves. Yes. I love the limbic resonance reminder too. Thank you. Community, communication, immunity. Yes. Love the strategies. Continue to ask myself, what is the deeper meaning of sexuality? Yes. Love it, love it, love it. We have to do that because right now, our sexual freedoms, our rights to even birth control, these things, they're being taken away in many places, and some places don't have them. We have to have this inquiry and we have to use our voice. We're not at a time where apathy is okay. If you are here, you are willing to be a leader, an embodied leader, and to take a stand. I'm so turned on. I love it. This frees us to be who we are with confidence in who we are. Thank you for the light of a woman, for the light of what a woman is, your suggestions. Is there a way to share this message? Absolutely, there's a way to share this message. I know a few midwives and others who would love to hear this. Maybe Sally, there will be a replay. Send them to the replay so they can, like this. I don't offer a lot of like free sessions. I wanted to do this webinar because I want to see who's out there and what you're doing, and if there's any interest in this lens of perception and in this advocating of sexual sovereignty. So absolutely. Just listening to you say it makes me feel empowered already. Love it, Maya. Fantastic. I love the possibility of repatterning cellular structure. Yes, and you could only do that in yourself. And then if you don't know how to teach it, there are ways. I do teach women how to actually transmit those teachings. You can guide a person into that repatterning. So amazing. I would love to bring this to the women's community group that helps women heal from sexual trauma. Oh, Sandra, this is so powerful. And a lot of people in my community, myself included, if you don't know my story, I nearly died from a rape experience. And so what I did, the journey that I went on to get where I am now as a fully expressed and enlivened human being, is what I imbue in this work. So a lot of embodiment. We don't have to have all the answers. We bring them out from the women. Absolutely. Right? Amazing. You're so powerful. Love limbic resonance. Sincerely believing women are sovereign. Tears in my eyes as I listen to the reflection of the power and sovereignty of women. So important that this message is shared. Yes, please. We're not broken. We don't need fixing. My God, I love it. You're just like so much. Can you see your wisdom, this collective wisdom and what you're getting, these gems? They're so powerful. And I'm really, really, really grateful to you. Thank you. Samantha, complete resonance, moving through victim to survivor to thriver by invitation through engagement by the leader herself, embodied in what she expresses by honoring each other's unique natural signature of aliveness through inner wisdom, that liberation and cherishing each other's heart truth. Samantha, you could be a poet. Applicable not only to sexual issues, but other areas of women's lives. Absolutely, Marta, absolutely. Sovereignty. The reason I use sexual sovereignty is because we've disowned and criminalized and made into a commodity sexuality. So I want to bring it into the picture because it's inseparable, but absolutely sovereignty on all levels. We do not have to fix anything, give invitations instead of advice to activate women's inborn intelligence, doing and being this in all myself, repatterning my own cellular memory. Audacity. Yeah, I love it, love it, love it. Have I written a book on this approach? We could possibly make available my dissertation, and I do run a program called the Ambassador Program. I'll give more information on that another time. What I am going to do with this call is give you a way to talk to me one-on-one. So I'll do that shortly, okay? I love your passion, everyone. I can't read all of this, but so, so, so amazing. All right, so what I'm going to do is what I want to say is, how do we bring this, like each of you, can I read all the different industries that are present here? People with, women with online businesses, teachers, researchers, therapists, trainers, healers, prenatal counseling, counselors, neuropsychological services, trauma, nutritionists, case managers, food co-op managers, nurses, massage therapists, movement education, birth educators, secondary school teacher, rolfers, autism, tantra teachers, Ayurvedic guidance, shiatsu. I mean, the list, can you see this list? It's massive. I wrote down, because a lot of you filled out the survey, who you were. So powerful. Now, you had very individual questions for me. And because this is a general webinar, what I thought I'd do is open up a way for you to have a little, just a short, maybe half hour, one-on-one session where we can discuss together. We can find out if there's a way that we can bring more of this wisdom into your particular modality. So I'm really curious if you would like to have that. So let me just actually open that up for you right now. So what I'm going to do is, if you want to have a strategy session with me around this, like just how to bring this deeply into your profession, into your world, then book a session with me. I think we do have limited numbers of sessions because there's over 600 women here. I can't do 600 sessions. So if you're interested, I would just jump in right now and book that session right now. And while you're doing that, if you're interested in doing that, then what I want to do is talk about that fourth piece. And we already sort of brought it up. So the fourth mistake that we do as practitioners is work in isolation. And I don't just mean like in your own physical space. I also mean without community and contact with multiple modalities that are all addressing women's issues. That's isolation, when we hide in our modality and we hide within the modality, we hide in our own little business. So that is a big mistake, mostly because then we're a little bit being haphazard on trying to figure out how to address this with women. Maybe some of you feel like you should already have all the answers because you've got training. And to be honest, this mistake is also what's creating the difficulty in the success of the business, right? So I think the offer should be in showing up in your on your screen, and that's where you can register. And Sony can also help Camilla if you want a strategy session with me. So the strategy for working in isolation, not just in your modality and not just in your business, but like really isolating yourself, is to connect, right? So whether you choose to connect through me and my community or someone else's community or someone else, like masterminding, it doesn't matter. I just need you to connect. I need you to get out. Masterminding is an excellent way of doing that. I definitely recommend that a lot. And find your tribe, like find the tribe that's having this. This is so important. So, having said all that, I would love to support you. I would love to actually have that one-on-one conversation with you. If you are an impassioned professional, you want to be an advocate for sexual sovereignty, you'd love to bring even more depth and breadth to supporting women in understanding their sovereignty as a sexual being, in understanding their own healing, whatever it is around sexuality, then I would love to support you. Now, Sony, I need your help. Sony, I don't know how many of us are left on this call, but I want to give away a ticket to Dare Live to one person on this call. So if you could tell me, Sony, in a private chat who it is, I'm going to announce it because I know you, Sony has a random way. She just does it with each of you assigned a number when you first register. So she's going to do a little something so that we can see who gets to come to the live event. It's going to be an amazing live event. It's in Los Angeles at the end of September, the last weekend, first weekend of October. It overlaps. And in this live event, not only will there be community, not only are we going to become more audacious and more daring within our own lives, I actually will be taking you through a very deep journey over 2.5 days of just really sinking in profoundly into your own sexual sovereignty, into your own psychosexual well-being. And I won't be doing this alone. This is a very unique event because I'm featuring my ambassadors and they come from different modalities. So one of the things I want to share with you is some success stories of those ladies. So I think I mentioned earlier, the medical doctor, she's going to be there. We're actually going to do our first ever medical research on the impact of the jade egg on the microbiome of the vagina. It's super exciting. So if you come, you can definitely participate in that medical study. So she, as a leading OBGYN, has been speaking on female medicine stages throughout the year. So she was in my training, and she started bringing these ideas to the stage and to her practice. And suddenly her career has taken off in massive ways. And she's literally changing how gynecology is done. Like, it's at the early stages, but amazing, amazing. So check it out. Like, changing gynecology. Amazing. Okay. There's another success story of another lady in this ambassador community. She is a naturopath. And what's amazing about her is that she realized as a naturopath, there were so many things happening with women's bodies that she realized she really wanted to understand eating disorders and its relationship to sexuality. So she's actually heading a transformation on how women are treated in the eating disorder realm, because right now they are treated very poorly. So I'm so excited that she is bringing a brand new, fresh look at how to support women around eating and body issues and sexuality. I have also a dance therapist who, incredibly shy, just didn't want to speak. And through this community, through the teachings and the learnings and the masterminding, she went from being really shy and shut down and not sure to like just standing and talking and getting out there and just feeling completely turned on to use her voice. Really, really powerful, ladies. And the last one I want to say, there's another member of my ambassador community. She was a peace mediator between in the Middle East. So we'll just say it that way. And a single mom of a couple kids, and is now learning and is putting on incredibly successful webinars and online classes because she can't physically be where she needs to be just because of the kids. And she is launching this in such huge ways. I'm so excited for her. So that's what community can do. And it's what suddenly, when you're in your own little modality, you may not have all the answers, but within the community, someone might, and you can collaborate, or you can get a statement, or you can get their research or their experience. Community is so powerful. So let me see. Sony, did you text me a name for someone to come to their live? Let's see. Okay, awesome. I have the winner. You interested in knowing who it is? Let me know. I'm not going to say it if you're not interested. Let's see. Yes. Okay. I think you're interested in knowing who gets to come. So, Rebecca, are you here? Rebecca, you have won a ticket. So, I'm super, super, super excited. But in order to claim the ticket, you need to be still on the call, and you need to say, I claim it. So Rebecca, say, I claim it, and we will give it to you. If you're not here, then we have to pick number 2. So we'll give you another few moments, Rebecca, if you're here still, to claim your ticket to Dare Live. And let's just see. Let's see. Let's see, Rebecca. She's not claiming it. I might have to give it to someone else. Come on, Rebecca. I'll give you another 30 seconds. It's going to be number 2 soon. Okay. I think Rebecca might have left. So, Sony, just quickly check. Is Rebecca with us? Is she here? Does she want the ticket? Does she want to come? Otherwise, I've got to pick a person who stayed to the end, because giving me your time like this has been amazing, amazing, amazing. No, it's Rebecca. Rebecca, not Becca. But Becca, that's cool. Okay, I think I just need to make a decision that Rebecca isn't here. I'm sorry, Rebecca. So what we're going to do is Sony's going to send me the next person. Let's pick number 2. I don't know how to say this name properly. Is Rebecca here? Someone's saying she's here. Ah, you are driving. Awesome, Rebecca. Yay. This is so amazing. So amazing, so amazing, so amazing. Rebecca, congratulations. You are coming to LA to join the Dare Live event. It's going to be amazing to have you here and share that with you. For the rest of you, I really want to honor and thank you for being here, for being so passionate, so interactive. Please book a session time with me if you want to strategize how to bring this more deeply into your modality. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you again. I'm going to end the webinar in just a moment. So let's just take a real deep breath in our excitement for Rebecca. Yeah. It's so exciting. So exciting. Actually, Sony, I'm feeling uber generous. Let's do a BOGO, like, you know, bring a best friend. So it'll be Rebecca, and let's do like one more. Should we do that? Because I'm just like super random. I always freak out my poor team this way. But Sony's already sent me a second name in case Rebecca didn't show up. So I want to do a BOGO, which is Dare Live has a way where you and your girlfriend can come, and it's cheaper than just coming alone. So it's called BOGO. And so I think I want to do a BOGO. And so are you ready? Rebecca and her best buddy, who she hasn't met or doesn't know yet, we're going to give out a second ticket. Oh my God, it's so exciting. Are you ready? You ready? Okay. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name properly. I'm very sorry if I say this incorrectly. Dipti, D-I-P-T-I. Are you here? Are you willing to claim that BOGO ticket? D-I-P-T-I. Dipti, I think is the name. We've just done 2 tickets to the live event. Holy crazy, amazing. So let's see if Dipti's here to claim her ticket. You're here. Yay! Shh, 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 shh. Yay, you're coming. I'm so excited. The rest of you definitely consider coming if you can. It's going to be a profound experience, an amazing community. Would love to have you there. There are many ways that I can support you. So book that session with me. Typically, sessions with me are quite expensive, but I feel like I need to give a bit of service back to my community to help the other professionals. So that's what that session is going to be about. It's just to find out how I can best support you and how we can support the women of the world together. All right. Love it. Let's take a big breath together. Big breath. Let it go. Again, deep breath. And just remember that by daring to live life on your own terms, daring to be that sexually sovereign being, you change the world. You do. It means everything. Thank you for your hearts. Thank you for your kindness. I'm going to end the session here in a moment, and I'm just so grateful. All right. I hope we'll stay in touch. I'd love to see you again, and have an epic and beautiful rest of your day. Bye-bye, everybody.